Welcome to the Wednesday Ask Leah question slot. Alright, so this is the first week I'm doing this, so I just want to say you can ask me any question you want to, but leave it in the comments to this video. Specifically, if you ask a question in another video, I'm not going to include it on a Wednesday. Including or putting your comments, your question in the comments of this video will let me know that you don't mind me asking it on the channel itself in video format. All right, so as I said, this is the first week, so don't really have any questions that have been asked. There was one, what are the clairs, meaning clairvoyance, clairaudience, etc. So there are actually 6 clairs, if we can call them that. All right, so we've got clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. I think this one's a bit obvious. A lot of people refer to clairvoyance. In fact, clairvoyance is usually used when we refer to someone who is psychic. We just say, oh, they are clairvoyant. And this is not always the case. This is clear seeing in the sense that you see things visually. So if you are a psychic and you see a vision of something happening, or you have a dream vision or something like that, this can be referred to as clairvoyance. Then we've got clairaudience, which is clear hearing. So same thing. All of these are psychic connections, psychic abilities, if we can put it that way. So clairaudience would be clear hearing. So instead of getting messages or impressions or things visually, you would hear them. So you may hear voices, and not the crazy type of voices. Specifically, this is especially comes into play when you are actually talking with spirits. If you're a clairvoyant, you would see the spirit. If you are clairaudient, you would hear the spirit. So this is clear hearing. Then there's clairsentience, which is clear feeling. Now, this one is a bit more difficult for 2 reasons. One is that clear feeling can be intertwined with claircognizance, which is knowing, just clear knowing. Knowing and feeling, when you talk about feeling, it's not always about the emotions. It can be feeling something as in sensing it, and that sensing can be a knowing, just knowing something. The other reason it gets difficult is because a lot of people relate clairsentience with being empathic. Now, there is a difference between the two. So being empathic is taking on people's emotions, and that can be quite overwhelming sometimes. So if you walk into a room and somebody's in there and they are incredibly sad, you will suddenly feel incredibly sad. So you are being empathic towards their emotions, and you kind of take on those emotions. And it can get to the point where you actually take on a person's personality. The difference between that and clairsentience is that clairsentience is, in terms of clear feeling of emotions, is whereby it's almost looking at the thread of emotions that have continued through a person's life and actually following that thread back through their life to find the root cause of a particular depression or anxiety that they may have, or something like that. So it's clear feeling in that sense. And as I say, the two get mixed up. Now, being an empath does not mean that you have to stay in a state where you are constantly being bombarded by emotions. You can get to the point where you become clairsentient. And that just takes training, and it takes knowledge. Becoming knowledgeable of your abilities and how to actually control them, how to switch them off, how to switch them on to a certain degree. So when you are in front of somebody who can actually benefit, and you can help them by understanding their emotions empathically, you can switch it on to a certain level. So these things can be done. Don't think that you are an empath and therefore you are stuck with this for the rest of your life. You can become trained. You can train yourself. You can become more knowledgeable about your abilities. Then we have clairalience, which is clear smelling. Now, there is also clair olfaction. That word actually makes more sense to me because your sense of smell is your olfactory sense. But it's some people call it clairalience. So this is the same as clairaudience and clairvoyance, really. Instead of, you're going to pick up scents. This you might find this happens quite often. You'll suddenly smell something which gives you a memory, but that scent is nowhere around. It cannot be found anywhere in your environment. But it's just this, all of a sudden you get this scent. So that does actually happen to a lot of people. Then we have clairgustance, which is clear tasting, same thing. You're going to get a taste. And in a lot of these cases, it's going to trigger, the sense is going to trigger a memory. And it may not, when we talk about memory, it doesn't need to be something which you've experienced in the past. When we talk about memory can be something that is still going to happen in the future because time is not real. So it doesn't matter at what point in time something happens, a memory can still be triggered. And in our linear understanding of time, that means that a memory of something which hasn't happened in this current present moment, we can still have a memory of. Even though it's in the future, time is not real. I'm not going to get into that now. That's a whole different discussion. All right, so yeah, as I said, these things actually usually trigger a memory, and it can be something which is still going to happen. Then the last one is claircognizance, which is clear knowing. This is probably the most difficult one of the whole lot, because if you see something, you see it. You have something that you can relate to. If you hear something, you hear it. It's something you can relate to. Emotions, you can feel them. So clear feeling is, again, you can relate to it. It's almost tangible. With clear knowing, it's not as tangible. It's very, very difficult, and we can relate this to intuition, really. It's that kind of clair thingy, which it really is intuition. It's about knowing. It's just knowing. If somebody asks you, what do you think is going to happen? You just know. You just tell them because you just know. And that is intuition. Don't walk into a particular building at a particular time. Maybe you don't know why or what's going to happen, but you know not to walk into that building or cross the road at that particular time or get into your car and go into the shop. There may be signs that come up that kind of say to you, well, hold on, go sit down for an hour, then go to the shop or do whatever you were going to do, because if you do it now, something bad's going to happen. It's intuition, it's cognizance, it's claircognizance, it's clear knowing. And as I say, this is probably the most difficult of the lot because we have to learn to trust ourselves, and we need to learn to trust those instincts. And that develops over time. They all develop over time, but I think claircognizance is probably the most difficult because the trust that you have to have in your instincts and your intuition is solid. And as soon as you think you've gotten there and you think, okay, I know, a doubt comes in and goes, what if I'm wrong? You just carry on going. It becomes better, easier as you carry on going. So those are all the Clairs. I hope Claire's not upset with me talking about her, but we'll be fine at the end of the day. All right, and that's the end of Wednesday's Ask Leah question. All right, as I said, if you have any questions, put them in the comments to this particular video, and then I'll cover them next week. All right, have a great day. Cheers for now.